Hey everyone, Dan McKenzie here with the McKenzie Law Firm. We are an estate planning, estate administration, and small business firm in the Denver, Colorado area. And I am making some videos about a topic that maybe would be surprising to people, which is why your estate plan might not work. And so usually estate planning attorneys are trying to assure people that you do your plan and it will definitely work. It will make it easy for your family, it will solve problems, it will prevent fighting, it will keep you out of court, like all those kinds of things. And we see, frankly, a lot of plans that have all those problems. Family fighting, court, whatever else, inefficient, takes a long time, expensive, all kinds of things. And some of those are lawyer drafted plans, some of them actually don't have any plans. We're going through the intestate process. Some require probate, some don't. We see things in trusts, we see things in wills. Like, there's not necessarily, it's not necessarily what you would expect. And from what I see, the common thread between plans that seem to work pretty well and plans that struggle to provide what the person who was putting them together thought they would do is liquidity. And what I mean by that is, does the estate have enough cash or assets that can be easily turned into cash to be able to solve problems? And the number of estates that really don't have that is surprising. And the other thing that's surprising is it really doesn't have anything to do with the size of the estate. So we see some estates that are quite large, worth a lot of money, but they're tied up in things like rental properties, real estate, small business, closely held family businesses, things like that, or just, personal property, like unique items that people have. And the common thread between all those things is just that they cannot necessarily be turned immediately into cash. Even residential real estate sometimes can be, lately, as I'm making this video, the real estate market's been pretty darn hot in a lot of the country, and it's certainly around Denver. Selling a house has not been very difficult for a while now. But even that, it's there's still a process to go through. There's still, the house has to be cleared out. It has to be prepared. It has to be, marketed, and there's, you can't necessarily sell a house tomorrow, right? It might take a little while. And the other issue is just that even with residential property, it's unique. My house is not my neighbor's house, and there are a lot of neighborhoods out there where there really are houses where this is the same kind of design, 4 different designs over and over again. But every house is different. Every house has different different features. It's on a different piece of land. It's got different maybe different modifications to it or whatever else. And so unlike cash in a bank account where it can just be split into 2 or 3 or however many beneficiaries you have and handed out, and no one really cares which dollar they're getting out of which account, they just the money comes and they're happy to receive it. A house, any of the other items I mentioned earlier, might have all kinds of emotions tied up in them. Some people might disagree about whether or not the item should be sold or should it be kept. Should it be rented out? Should it be sold right away, or should it be fixed up or modified in some way to try and get top dollar, even if it takes a little while longer? So all these things can really tie an estate up and cause a lot of problems. And again, it's even if the assets are worth a lot of money, that's not really the problem. The problem is how do we get them into a point where it's okay, the people who want to move on and just get cash and be done with it can do so. If someone else wants to maintain an asset or do something different with it than just immediately sell it, how do we take care of them? And if we don't have cash in the estate, which happens, sometimes people will shoot out cash through transfer on death instructions, designated beneficiary instructions, those kinds of things. So it's everything leaves the estate except for the house, and now we're just dealing with the house in this probate process. It's there's not necessarily an easy way to solve some of the problems that I've mentioned if everything is just tied up into an asset that is not immediately liquid. So having cash, and the best way to do that maybe is life insurance if you're able to get insurance, or at least making sure you've got if you're following the general advice about how to manage your finances, keeping your 3 to 6 month emergency fund on hand, that can be good. But again, like sometimes people have plenty of cash in bank accounts and plenty of cash in life insurance, and they don't really think through. Again, they're kind of like, well, we have this very easy option to get money out to people, and so they take one of those options and don't think through, like, how is my personal representative or my trustee going to manage the house that I'm leaving for them? Like, they got to continue insuring it. They got to continue maintaining it until they actually get it sold and have property taxes to pay or a mortgage or whatever else. How is that going to happen if all of my financial accounts were immediately distributed to my kids and it went separately? So lack of liquidity is a big issue in estate administration, and one of the issues that we see where they cause a lot of problems, like I say, up and down the income scale, up and down the net worth scale. It can kind of happen anywhere. So when you're thinking about your estate plan, you kind of need to think through. I mean, you can write down anything in a will. That's the other topic. Like, so you can write down, look, my family is going to split everything equally. Like, here's the person who's going to run it. Maybe even giving first rights of refusal to various people for various assets, or giving specific gifts to people to try and get rid of some of this stuff. But it's like, look, at the end of the day, you actually need to think through, okay, how is this actually, like, this plan going to actually take place? So we'll see people who have, like, businesses, for example, or like unique rental properties or family vacation properties, and they'll give their kids a first right of refusal to buy those properties, and they go, well, solve that problem, right? My kids will get this right. If they don't want to exercise it, then the estate will just sell it and distribute the cash. And meanwhile, it's like, well, yeah, but the property or the business or whatever it is worth more than really a kid and any of your kids can afford. So really having a first right of refusal is not actually useful to them. So like I say, you can write down anything. If you don't actually think through the execution of the plan, you might not really be solving any problems. And so that second part is just as critical as actually coming up with the instructions in the first place. And I think that gets back to the issue of, like, okay, how, if this kid's going to take this property, or this kid's going to take this 401k, or this kid's going to take over my business or whatever else, where do the resources come from to potentially take care of the other kids and make sure that things are fair? Hope that kind of gets the juices flowing or gets you thinking about things. If it does, we're happy to continue that conversation. Again, we're the McKenzie Law Firm. We're in Colorado. We help people in Colorado. So if you're elsewhere, you'll maybe need to find someone in your state. But we are happy to talk with you if you've got a connection to Colorado. So our phone number is 303-578-2745. You can find us at themckenziefirm.com. And I hope this video is helpful and appreciate you watching. Thank you.